you know, happily as I could, spend more time with them, like that sort of thing.
Is that something that maybe when you think about if things had not gone so well, if you had not had your liver transplant, do you think that would be a decision you would regret now, looking back?
No, it isn't a decision I would regret, and it isn't something that I would recommend everybody to do. It was just, in my case, I guess I just didn't want my family like suffering with me during the disease, and I had it in my mind that, you know, if I was going to die from this disease, at least those last couple of years or a few years that I would have had, I would have tried and spend the best time with my family, because I know in the back of their mind they would have always been thinking about it and worrying about it, you know, and things like that.
Right. So, tell me what happened after you found out up until the liver transplant.
I found out that I had this disease, cirrhosis of the liver, with, I forget the doctor's name, it was here in Guelph, and he ended up sending me to another specialist in Toronto. And at that time I was under the care of Dr. Jenny Heathcott of the Toronto Western Hospital, and she was seeing me every few months to get blood work done and that sort of thing. And at that time, like, I kept inquiring, how much time do I have left to live since it's a serious disease? And she would not reveal that information. She wouldn't say anything of the type that I was dying. And that's the nature of most doctors, that, you know, they just won't tell a patient that they're going to die, so to speak. But what I did was I persisted in trying to find out. So I went to another family doctor, and another family doctor told me basically how much time I had left to live. And at that time, I think she said 3 years. So what I did was...
How did that feel?
How did that feel when I was told 3 years? Well, I still was having a hard time believing that I did have a serious disease. You know, I thought it could have been a wrong diagnosis, or they were going to tell me afterwards that, you know, we gave you the wrong information. But I remember when this doctor told me I had 3 years, and this was upon my persistence of telling me the truth, of not holding back on anything. It didn't feel real once again. It felt like a soap opera almost. Like, you know, I used to watch those soap operas, and some of the scenes in the soap operas, when you seen that somebody got that kind of news, and then how they would take it, it felt like surreal like that when they told me. I almost heard that soap opera music, and, you know, it just didn't feel real. And, you know, once again, it took some time to digest this, and what to do about it. Like, you know, my thoughts towards what very short future I might have had, or what else I could possibly do. And it was at that time that I decided that if I was going to go, they would have had to drag me out. You know, I wasn't going to go easy. I was going to do everything I could to combat this thing. And it was at this time that I was finding out information from the specialists and doctors what my options were. And the only option at that time was a liver transplant.
That must have been scary.
Yes, it was. From what I heard about it, at that time they told me it's one of the most intensive operations that they had going at that time.
Could we just back up a step? Sorry to interrupt. Could you just say it was scary? It was trying not to do an answer. Yes or no.
The operation was scary.
The operation was scary. From what I heard about it, they said that it took at least 12 hours. And at that time, the success rate wasn't that high as of yet. They didn't have all the technology back then that they have now.
How did you think it was going to turn out?
Well, before, you know, I knew that I had the transplant, I had to get on the waiting list. There's a process. You know, people with liver diseases just don't get on the waiting list, first of all, and aren't all eligible for transplants. So it was kind of a process with the help of my liver specialist at that time, Jenny Heathcott, who helped me get on the waiting list. And once I was accepted on the waiting list, well, before I got accepted on the waiting list, I had to go through a 3-day very intensive physical diagnosis. And what they do at that time is they check your heart, they check your lungs, they check a lot of things to see if you will be eligible to withstand a liver transplant. So after I went through these tests, they told me that I was eligible for a liver transplant, and then I was put on the waiting list.
How did finding out that you were eligible feel?
I felt very happy. I mean, you know,
What made you feel happy?
knowing that I was on the waiting list did make me feel happy because it seemed like one obstacle at a time sort of thing. At first, you know, I wasn't sure whether they were going to put me on the waiting list, and then when they told me that they were, that was, you know, one less like I was getting closer to maybe doing something about it. So I did feel very happy.